We love cars. We love making people happy, and this is the medium to do it.
At the core of every dealership is the salesperson.
Can you sell yourself? Are you comfortable talking with the consumer? That's the essence of sales.
The old stereotype that a car salesperson will rob you is kind of a cliche now.
Back in the days of horses, around 100 years, before Corvettes or Porsches, Henry Ford shifted gears, and a couple other visionaries, high-octane gasoline, all hail the Motor City, hello, goodbye, James Dean.
Hi, I'm Johnny Rhodes, and I work at Legend Nissan. Prior to working here, I was working at a liquor store. I didn't see myself as ever being a homeowner. I have custody of 2 of my grandchildren. So it's me, my mother, and my 2 grandchildren. I have a 9-month-old son and a 4-year-old daughter.
I'm Wayne Siegel. I'm the owner of the Legend Auto Group with my brother Michael. We're partners. The Legend Auto Group consists of Legend Nissan, which is in Syosset, Legend Porsche, which is in Massapequa, New York, and Legend Audi and Volkswagen, which is in Amityville, New York.
I came in for an interview and I sat down with Mrs. Siegel, and I told him I had no sales experience, no knowledge of ever doing any sales or anything. And the first thing out of his mouth was, "That's good."
I very, very rarely hire salespeople from other dealerships. Not that they're bad, but other dealerships may not look at how to treat the customer the way I do.
All right, so we're going to say the tax on 301, I'm going to determine it right now.
Johnny Rhodes, when he came here, was in his mid-40s. And Johnny Rhodes also, when he came to work here, had the responsibility of not only taking care of his children, he had to take care of his grandchildren as well. And everybody lived under one roof in an apartment that he rented. He was just hoping that there would come a point in his life that he could have just one job and maybe enjoy his life.
And I said to him, "Well, why would you feel like that?" He said, "Because you're like a sponge right now. So anything I pour into you, you'll be willing to, ready to accept." And 6 years later, I'm still here.
I handed Johnny his year-end check, and I saw his eyes start to water up. He said, "Because I'm going to cry." He said, "Because I never in my life would have thought that a 45-year-old man whose grandparents picked cotton could own a home and be able to take care of his mother."
But it's one thing about Wayne Siegel. The guy took me off the street, no sales experience. He sent me to a training class for 10 days, and then he took us into his office. He personally trained us for another week after that. And if a person like that could devote his time in me, then I could devote whatever time it takes in this business to be successful. I think I make the right choice.
The automobile industry started at the turn of the 20th century, and the thing that really got it accelerated was cheap oil that happened in the about 1910. Oil was found. Before that, about 30% of the cars were electric, and it was a very common to have an electric car. Cheap oil produced cheap gasoline, and then the automakers started building gasoline-powered cars. And at one time, there were 3,000 different car brands being sold. And some producers only produced 2 or 3 cars, others produced a couple dozen before they went out of business. Guys were building car brands in their garage and selling them to their friends. And the visionaries of that time were able to, such as Henry Ford, were able to produce and sell low-cost cars. A lot of them were just mechanics and tinkerers, but they had enough business sense to find a market for their cars and be able to put together a marketing plan.
Back in the days of horses, around 100 years, before Corvettes or Porsches, Henry Ford shifted gears, and a couple of the visionaries, high-octane gasoline, all hail the Motor City, hello, goodbye, James